From a rapper that collaborated with Juice WRLD and Justin Bieber before he could even drive, to going from studying to hanging out with Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl overnight, to having Drake feature on just his second song. This is every rap industry plan explained, and whether it's a fair label or not, I'll leave that up for you to decide. Starting with rap's first ever industry plants, the Sugar Hill Gang. Back in 1979, producer Sylvia Robinson from Sugar Hill Records noticed rap music was exploding in popularity within New York City clubs, and she wanted to capitalize on this by bringing it to the mainstream. So, Robinson grabbed 3 rappers, Wonder Mike, Master G, and Big Bank Hank to form the Sugar Hill Gang. The trio was then thrown into a studio where they recorded Rapper's Delight over a disco loop, and the song exploded, rocketing up the Billboard charts almost overnight, turning 3 nobodies into stars, and bringing the then underground genre into the mainstream. However, despite being industry plants, literally formed by a label and pushed into the spotlight, the Sugar Hill Gang is ultimately responsible for knocking over the first domino of proving rap could sell, opening the door for every artist you know and love today. Speaking of popular modern stars, our next alleged industry plant, the Kid Laroi, went from being a normal Australian kid to a global superstar before he could legally drive. Because in 2019, at just 15 years old, Laroi was signed to Grade A in Colombia, and shortly after, his song, Let Her Go, went viral, seemingly out of nowhere. But industry plant accusations didn't truly begin until 2020, when Stay, a collaboration with Justin Bieber, dropped and topped the charts for months, leaving fans shocked at just how quickly the Kid Laroi arrived and who he arrived with. Skeptics pointed out that his parents had connections with the industry, and since his success came shortly after a Juice WRLD cosign, Laroi's fame felt engineered and inauthentic. He was made out to seem like a talented kid who just got lucky, when in reality, he had a massive head start. But unlike some other industry plants on our list, the Kid Laroi has continued to deliver hit after hit. So while he did have a massive initial advantage, his talent is real. However, while Laroi had serious help from his label, our next artist didn't. Tommy Richmond, after dropping single $1 Million Baby, exploded into the mainstream quite literally overnight. Social media, specifically TikTok, meant Richmond was now everywhere, to the point where you couldn't escape $1 Million Baby no matter how hard you tried. But it was this rapid rise which saw the industry plant label stamped all over Tommy. Fans debated on social media that labels had pulled strings to get his single into the mainstream, following the same thought process applied to anyone who ascends quickly, that they must have been planted. Yet after well-known artists like Russ and outlets such as Complex detailed Tommy's decade-long journey of creating music, the industry plant talk shut down as quickly as $1 Million Baby rose the charts. An eerily similar story of our next rapper, Doochie. Because thanks to her sudden rise and signing to Kendrick Lamar's label, Top Dog Entertainment, the label's first ever female rapper, many fans wondered if Doochie was an industry plant. Because after breaking out in 2020 with single Yucky Blucky Fruitcake, then touring with SZA, followed up by her 2022 TDE signing and Doochie's debut album, Alligator Bites Never Heal, winning Best Rap Album at the Grammys, the evidence was apparently there. However, a dive into Doochie's background reveals something different. Starting her career in 2015, Doochie had been grinding like any true creative, writing and performing whenever she got the chance, trying to get better at her craft daily, and after 5 years of dedication, her self-funded Yucky Blucky Fruitcake is what got her in TDE's crosshairs. Doochie would then simply laugh at the accusations, claiming that they mean she's doing something right, and that even if she was an industry plant, her talent is real. Another female rapper who rose to insane levels of fame seemingly out of nowhere was Iggy Azalea, an Australian teenager who moved to the US, bouncing between Miami and Atlanta, before being discovered by artist T.I., who co-signed Iggy. Then in 2014, Azalea's debut album, The New Classic, exploded. Her song Fancy went on to hold the #1 spot on charts for 2 straight months, crowning Iggy as the first non-American female rapper to ever achieve this, resulting in Iggy Azalea now being everywhere. Awards, radio shows, top 100 lists, you could literally not escape her. Which is why many people felt she was purposely planted, believing the industry fast-tracked her success to push a white foreign artist in a black-dominated genre, since Azalea was more pop-friendly. Combine this with the authenticity debates, Iggy being an Australian who somehow now had a southern accent, used American slang, and that her biggest songs were co-written by existing stars, fans truly believe she was engineered in a lab by executives. But Iggy pushed back. sharing that she moved to the States alone at 16, worked odd jobs to support her dream, and created music long before T.I. found her. However, on the other hand, when the industry support for her was at its peak, Iggy was a superstar. Yet when the backing dropped after 2015, Azalea fell too, seemingly confirming what fans believed all along. A story very similar to that of our next rapper, Jumex, an artist who blew up in 2018, but not due to any of his music. No, a high school crash-out video propelled him into the mainstream, and people who saw the clip often then discovered his emo rap music. Songs such as Trapped and Loner saw Jumex rise to SoundCloud fame, and he was now touted as the next big emo rap star. But it was here where things started to feel off? Cause Jumex already had high-level management, was sharing perfect music videos and booking festival slots without any real catalog. Fans felt his rise was rushed, too perfect, and therefore inauthentic. Then when leaks surfaced of Jumex asking other artists to help write his music, a major red flag for a genre built on sharing personal pain, the hype surrounding Jumex fell off as fast as it rose. Speaking of SoundCloud rappers, Icy Narco, a 19-year-old Miami native, came up overnight thanks to his song, Link. While the track itself brought attention, his image, the colored hair, face tattoos, and energy seemingly mimicking that of other popular stars, Lil Pump and XXXTentacion, saw not only fans, but labels going wild for Narco. Because shortly after Link dropped, Icy signed to 10K Projects, who booked him on international tours, pushed him into the mainstream and onto the XXL freshman list. But this sudden rise saw the industry plant label quickly stamped on Icy Narco. Fans critiqued that he just looked and sounded like every other Florida rapper, dubbing him Lil Pump 2.0, and accusing Narco of just recycling a proven blueprint, rather than creating his own lane. However, Icy fans pushed back. Link did go viral on its own, and Icy Narco was just leaning into what was working, rather than taking a risk to break into a scene which is already oversaturated. So, was he planted? Well, his initial hype was real, but once labels arrived, the push was heavy, and the boost fell off fast, really fast, leaving us to question, was the rise even real? Yet our next artist's ascension was very clearly manufactured, because when Baby Goth arrived onto the scene with her debut song, Swimming, with features from heavy hitters Trippie Redd and Wiz Khalifa, fans waved industry plant flags immediately. Goth had no SoundCloud era, no background of work, just an instant signing to Republic Records. And when fans dug into her background, some shocking things were revealed. Baby Goth's image, the colorful hair, face tattoos, cute but emo vibe, had been meticulously curated, and personal details were hidden to protect the mysterious goth teen persona, resulting in the backlash hitting hard. The industry plant label stuck to Goth, and just a year after her arrival, Baby Goth had essentially vanished, citing that scrutiny and rumors wrecked her mental health and pushed her away from music. Now imagine blowing up so quickly that you go from the Bronx to hanging out with Taylor Swift at the Superbowl essentially overnight. Crazy story, right? Well, for Ice Spice, after she dropped Munch halfway through 2022, is exactly what happened to her. Spice's song went viral. Whether it was being used as a meme or listeners actually liked it, didn't matter. The hype was real, and Ice Spice was quickly signed to 10K Projects in Capitol. But the hits didn't stop. Boys a Liar Part 2 with Pink Panthers flew to the top of the charts, a collab with Nicki Minaj soon followed, and suddenly you couldn't get away from Ice Spice. Magazine covers, social media, award shows, and even the Super Bowl, which is exactly why the industry plant accusations arose. Critiques questioned how someone could jump from DIY videos to chart-topping hits in under a year. The cosigns, initially from Drake, were almost instant. Her branding was flawless, and skeptics felt it was too perfect, carefully curated for maximum success. But the reality was Munch wasn't engineered by executives. It just went viral, initially locally in the New York drill scene, and then worldwide. And once Spice signed to a label, she never acted as if she was independent. So, is Ice Spice really an industry plant? Kinda. Really, she just timed everything perfectly, and all her label did was provide gasoline to the fire she had already lit. Exactly like our next rapper, Iann Dior, whose sound hit the scene at the exact right moment. Iann began posting his music in 2019, but unlike most artists, Dior was signed to Internet Money and 10K Projects just months after he arrived. Then came his two hit songs, Gone Girl featuring Trippie Redd, and appearing on Mood with 24K Golden. Thanks to the latter spending 8 weeks at number 1, Iann Dior was already near the top of the game with just a year of experience. And that's when the industry plant talk began. From the outside, his rise looked too clean. Quick label backing, big budget videos, and high profile features. Plus, the lack of a messy rise, or experimentation to find his lane, saw fans accusing his label of fast-tracking him to fill the Juice WRLD hole. But instead of debating these claims, Iann Dior leaned into it, naming his debut album Industry Plant, stating, "This is my way of saying I am what I say I am." While most artists on this list came from little to nothing, our next rapper Smilez had much more than industry backing. Because debuting originally as Jack Bruno in 2018, Smilez already had stars like Playboi Carti featuring on his songs. But when that persona failed, he just invented a new one. Yellow everything. Hair, outfits, and a smiley face buzzed into his hair. Smilez dropped his debut song, Head Shoulders, to an audience of 300 monthly listeners. Okay, so what? Why are we talking about him? Well, the next day, on rapper 6ix9ine's Fresh Outta Prison album, guess who was featured? That's right, Smilez. Fans were left puzzled as to who he actually was, and why was he on the album? But when they discovered Head Shoulders was released through Create Music Group, the same company who represented 6ix9ine, everything started to make sense. Turns out Smilez is the son of a top executive of the Tony and Guy empire, and allegedly lives in a $50 million LA mansion. But Smilez doesn't hide it. Instead, he embraces it, being 100% open about his background and always working hard as an artist to earn his own money to back his career. Yet, in a genre built on struggle and authenticity, the label of a nepo baby rapper sticks, and has ultimately harmed Smilez's image. However, while some artists like Smilez grind for years and years, exploring various genres and personas before receiving any recognition, our next rapper, 4Bats, seemingly appeared out of thin air as a chart-topping rapper. His breakout song, Act 2 Date at 8, went viral on both TikTok and YouTube, specifically the music video posted on 4Shooters Only, which took a traditional rap background and contrasted it with Bats' angelic voice, stunning viewers. 4Bats then grew to 10 million plus listeners on Spotify almost instantly, and everyone was asking, who's this guy? There were no interviews, no backlog of failed attempts, and to make things worse for those confused, 4Bats leaned into the mystery. His follow-up, Act 3 on God, only saw Bats' fame grow exponentially, and the crazy part about his meteoric rise, he did it all without a label, which only saw people grow even more suspicious for some reason. Fans looked for hidden hands, claiming he had secret industry backing, dubbing him an industry experiment, believing he was another famous artist in disguise, or that he was AI. Yet there is zero concrete evidence of any label involvement during his rise. While managers were carefully crafting his aesthetic for maximum virality, his growth appears to be natural, pushed by social media algorithms rather than labels. So, is 4Bats a plant? Not that we know of. If anything, he has done what labels dream of, creating a unique image that generates gigantic numbers off the bat. See what I did there? Off the bat? I'll see myself out. Was there anyone I missed? If there is, please comment below so I can make a follow-up video exploring all your suggestions. And remember to subscribe. More videos like this are coming very soon.